Hello, this is 6 Minute English from BBC Learn English. I'm Neil.
And I'm Sam.
Last week, I was driving from London to Anglesey in Wales when I saw a road signs written in two languages. It said, "Welcome to Wales" in English, and below that it said, "Color Acute" in Welsh.
Yes, Welsh is spoken by many people in North Wales. It's the indigenous language, the language spoken by the people who originally lived in a place rather than by others who moved there from somewhere else.
Welsh is a good example for an indigenous language that has survived. Some children speak Welsh in school, and the local governments have encouraged its spread, but not all indigenous language has been so lucky, as we will be finding out in this program.
Of course, languages are more than just words. They carry people's history, culture, and identity. So when an indigenous language disappears, to so to so too does the culture.
Yes, the dominance of international language, including English, has endangered other spoken languages. So here's my quiz question, Sam. Did you know that nearly 7,000 different languages are spoken around the world? But how many of these are indigenous? Indigenous is A, 3,000, B, 4,000, or C, 5,000? 5,000?
I would say B, 4,000 languages.
Okay, Sam, we will find out the answer at the end of the program.
One indigenous language speaker is Muscogee Queen. She's from Canada, or Turtle Island as is called by her tribe. tribe. She grew up speaking English instead of her native language, Nishinia Bermuin, which she only learned later as an adult.
Listen to Mr. Harper speaking with BBC Web Service program, the conversation about how she felt learning niche Harper later in life.
When I realized that the sounds that were coming out of my mouth were the same sounds that had come out of my ancestors' mouths thousands of years ago, I felt a deep sense of who I was and what it means to be Anishinaabe, and it made me realize that my dream of learning this language and passing it on to my children was now accessible, was now reachable, attainable. And after a couple of months, I was able to understand one full prayer prayer that was said at a cerem- cerem- ceremony feast, and the glee in me and the feeling of joy at being able to understand something in my own language. It was the most profound sense of confidence. Learning to speaking the language of her ancestors gave Muscogee a feeling of happiness, pleasure, or excitement.
Although she didn't go up speaking about uh, Abu Abu humans, she now wants to pass it on to her children. To pass something on means to give it to someone, usually in your family, who lives on after you die.
Muscogab's decision to raise her children speaking Anishinaabe turned out to be the right one, as she explained to BBC Civil Service program The Conversation.
There's a lot of bumps in the road, but it's going very well. My daughter is turning 4 and she completely understands the language. Being put back into daycare, which is only means there be a month, mo- month, it has really influenced her English. So I'm looks she's speaking a lot of English, and so that was a little bit worth for the family being an imme- immersion homes where we only speak and consumer perspectives when in the home. For there to be so much English, and only recently, over the last week and a half, have we really looked at her switch and their shift back into using the language. Bringing up her children to speak her indigenous English, uh, indigenous language wasn't easy, and Mr. Herbert says there were some bumps in the road, some problems or delays that slowed down or stopped the thing from developing.
To help, her family spoke only Anishinaabe at home using a technique called immersion, the process of learning a language or skill by using only that and nothing else.
This means that Manitoba's children speak, spoke both English at school and Arizona at home. She looked at how they change between language when speaking something known as code switching.
Mushkokarin believes this not only helps her children's development but also gives them a sense of family history as well as preserving her traditional culture.
A, a culture she hopes they will pass on to their children in turn.
So while indigenous cultures are threatened by big global languages, there's still hope that many will survive into the future. Which reminds me of your quiz question, Neil. Was my answer right?
Yes, I asked Sam how many of the 7,000 languages spoken around the world are indigenous,
And I thought it was the 4,000 languages.
which was the correct answer. And what's amazing is that all those indigenous people make up under 6% of the global population. They speak more than 4,000 of the world's languages.
Okay, now let's recap the vocabulary from this program on indigenous languages. That languages spoken by the people who originally lived in a place rather than others who came later.
This is a feeling of happiness and excitement.
If you pass something on, you give it to someone, usually in your family who lives on after you.
Bumps in the road, roads is a small problems or a delay that slows things down.
Immersion is the process of learning something like a language or a skill by using only that and nothing else.
And finally, code switching is the ability to change between two or more languages when speaking.
That's all from us.
Goodbye for now.
Bye bye.